Hey folks, I don't know if you can hear me because it's a bit windy and I'm outside making this video, so to say, or the audio to this video. And the main message again is that the moon landing is a hoax. Okay, this channel is called the place beyond the lies because that's where the truth is. Okay, so there is a truth, which is God's truth, and none of us really owns, but we can know parts of it, right? And we figure that out by observation, applied sciences, okay? Not just through accepting any theory that is thrown at us, right? From early on at school books, through magazines, whatever. They always try to throw some theories at you that might work even mathematically, and they might sound so logical, and even scientists themselves buy those theories, like studied scientists, okay? So the reason why they do this oftentimes is pride, or because they've learned something and they are not really making use of their knowledge, so to say, but they are indulging in this scientific and scientist world that they live in, right? Imagine you are a renowned scientist, I don't know, graduated from university. That's where they told you all those things, right? And you never really used your brain. You were just like a sponge, picking up those things. You had to reproduce them, copy paste, to fill out papers, to get graded well, and then you had to pick maybe a specific topic, let's say, that is very specific within science that you wrote your papers about, right? And that then defines your title, right? So what I'm trying to explain is that these people are blind, so to say, to certain parts of the truth, while they could easily use what they've learned, trying to actually get to the truth, right? But instead, most of the stuff, the basic fundamental stuff, they never use anymore because their jobs that they've gotten with their papers don't even involve those kind of theories anymore, right? Who needs pressure when you're sitting in the engineering of a car company, like developing things that aren't engine based, for example, but you're developing design things or whatever. These are all scientists that have studied this stuff and the basics of science, which can't be changed, because these are God's laws, these are physical laws. But they don't even need them, they don't even use them, because their jobs are involve different things, And most of the time, if you've ever been there or you had friends that were engineers at a big company, they will tell you that it's very different from what you would imagine that they do in their jobs, right? You would imagine, they're always trying to figure out new things. No. Most of the time it's just maintenance, maintenance work and that kind of stuff. Or problem solving which already exists from things that already exist, right? There's nothing new invented or anything. With most engineers, I'm saying. So you can't even just say, okay, I trust scientists because they've studied this stuff. No, it's not like this. They have their specific tasks to do, and that's what they do all day. And they don't even have time to think about other things because they need to do what their boss is telling them to think about in order to get that good salary, right? And then again, if there are scientists that are that have come to the truth because they can see what's going on, because they've learned all that stuff. It's not like everyone is a sponge that never questions anything and never thinks for themselves. There are people out there, also in high position, that know the truth, but they can't just come out with it, you know what I'm saying? Or they know the truth and they make fun amongst each other, you know, about all the people who don't know the truth, and they wouldn't reveal anything because they feel it makes them feel superior, you know, to others. It's another fact. So or like pilots, for example, they know the earth is flat. Most of them, I would say. Not all of them, I guess, but most of them, because that's also the way they learn it. And at some point, I guess they figure it out. I don't think there is anybody in those recruitment centers that tells them, okay, hey, the earth is flat, right? But they learn to assume a flat earth while navigating above it, navigating aircrafts above it. So at some point, one or the other might wake up to the truth, right? But it's not like there is one lesson where they tell you, okay, or maybe there is, I don't know, but I don't imagine like there is one lesson, or there is like a summit, a meet-up, and then all the pilots get told, okay, the earth is flat, but don't tell anyone. It's really like there are hierarchies in this world, and the high-ranking people, they know the truth, and all the rest is either figuring it out or not. And most of the people are not figuring it out because they never even think about it. They just take everything as they got told. And there are some people also, that's what I also have to say, that they question so many things, so many political things. You know, they question all kinds of, like their food intake, you know, very narcissistic things also that they question, but never the big picture of the world, right? It's like they just stay within their little worlds, and there they question things, but they would never go as far as to say, okay, this freaking globe model is fake, is a hoax, right? Or the moon landing was actually fake, right? Because also they have seen so many pictures pushed onto them, and they believe more in what the eyes can see rather than what the true light can think, right? Your mind. You don't just have your eyes, you also have your mind, and you can use both. Okay, so when you look at pictures of the moon landing, then don't just believe your eyes, you know. Think about it. And from other perspectives, right? Try to really look at this thing like you're looking at a plant. You would not just look at it. Okay, there are people that just look at plants and never really study them from all perspectives, but if you really want to know what the plant is all about, you would turn and twist it, and you know, try to really look at it from all kinds of sides, and maybe draw things apart, you know what I'm saying? So you have to do the same thing with the moon landing, for example. And then the picture gets truer and truer, okay? So one thing that's most importantly debunking the moon landing is pressure, okay? This is physics. simple basic physics that work throughout the universe, so to say. Not just down here on Earth, they work throughout space. Okay, pressure is a thing. And because it's a thing, we can also say that this system is enclosed. Because pressure, if it's not enclosed, will escape. I mean, not the pressure will escape, but there couldn't be a build-up of pressure if molecules, particles, atoms, whatever you want to call it, the smallest kind of unit could escape somewhere. And the basic example here is an air tire. Okay, you have car tires, you have bike tires, whatever tire you have where there is air inside. Once you drive over glass, over broken glass or whatever, or a nail, it will have a hole and all the air will escape. Okay, you can't drive anymore because the pressure is gone. Okay, because the system, this enclosed system tire, which is a system in itself, the tire that contains air, is broken all of a sudden and the air can escape, right? So there is no pressure possible that is coming from inside out, you know what I'm saying? And then your tire falls in and you can't drive anymore. So you have this throughout the universe, and pressure is what keeps the body together here on Earth, right? The pressure is just right for our bodies to exist. God made everything perfect, okay? Once we leave this balance, say we go deeper or higher than our natural position in this whole universe, it has effects on our bodies, because our body is communicating with its environment, so to say, or exchanging, or whatever you want to call it, has a relationship to its environment, because the body is also physical matter, and the body is inside the physical matter. So when the body is around air, on Earth, standing on Earth, it's all good and fine. But once you leave this balance, you go higher, for example, and the air gets lesser, and gases will change the higher you go, like the molecules. So the pressure will change onto the body, because less molecules, less particles will take up space around you. And this has effects on the body, which means liquids turn to gases inside your body, for example, and your body bubbles up, so to say. I don't know how to say it. I always say so to say, but because the gases, your body is made of gases, liquids and solids. Okay? So the gases will at some point want to escape your body. So that is why the body is bubbling up. Your tissues are growing, you know, because there is no pressure from outside like the air has, that would keep your body together and keep all your tissues fine the way they should be. So the moment you go higher in altitude, the gases in your body want to escape due to densities. That's the next thing. We have pressure and we have densities. And density is linked to gravity, what we call gravity. And it's not a force that just mysteriously comes out of the middle of the earth. That's also another lie that they're trying to push, so you never understand the real shape of the earth. Gravity is a result of forces, okay, that pull onto an object, onto your body, for example. And those results come from densities, the exchange of densities. Also, when you cook water, the water starts to boil and the steam starts to rise, okay? Because there is an exchange of densities that is kick-started by boiling the water, okay? if you don't boil the water, everything stays in a natural balance, in an equilibrium, so to say. But once you boil the water, once you put heat to that, it causes a reaction that distracts the water molecules, so to say. Water is a molecule that is made up of oxygen and hydrogen, okay? So what you do while cooking it is you break those bonds, okay? So this is why hydrogen is gonna collect itself on the lid, for example, and you can distill water, okay? Distill, it's the word distiller. To distill water, you extract, for example. If you really want to have clear water, you cook it and you catch it with the lid or with some kind of construction, and the steam will collect itself at the top, and then you would try to lead it somewhere else into something else, a cup or whatever. And then you have the cleanest water, like rain, for example. The sun heats up the ocean. Clouds will form above the ocean because the hydrogen is rising up. Okay? Rising up. And the moment these clouds are too heavy, it's gonna rain. The water is gonna fall down back to earth. And this is all because of densities. Because, for example, a water drop that has formed in a cloud becomes denser and denser and denser, and the moment it is too dense, it will fall to the ground, okay, through the gas. Because the air is less dense than this water drop, and that's the reason why it falls down. And all of this, and I could go deeper and deeper, but this will be too long, okay? But for a quick understanding to why moon landings are not possible, is simply because the human body cannot be on the moon, okay? And if you think about machines or anything else that are fueled by liquids, it also is not possible, okay? For example, rockets are fueled by gases and liquids, and these rockets will just explode at some point, okay? Because all the fuel, the air that's keeping the astronauts breathing and all that kind of stuff, it will want to escape this object. And if you ever seen some vacuum experiments, you know what pressure air can have, okay, from outside, for example, and it even cracks metal constructions, okay? Because when you, for example, you have a metal construction and you put out the air and you have really strong pumps, at some point this metal construction will implode, okay? Just as a plastic bottle implodes when you suck out the air. Of the water that surrounds the water bottle. The bottle doesn't have to be a water bottle. But the air creates pressure onto the surface of the bottle, and that is what squeezes the bottle together, okay? Because also there is no air anymore, that puts pressure onto the construction, onto the shape of the bottle from inside, because you have both. You have the pressure from outside and the pressure from inside. When you, for example, you put water inside, there's a space of air, there's a space for water, and there is a system for itself, right? And so there is pressure that is pushing onto the bottle, and there is pressure from inside, which is the water and the air inside the bottle that is putting pressure onto the walls of the bottle from inside. And this is why it stays in shape. And if you, for example, as a human, you have a horse you have arms, right? You can put force onto the bottle and then squeeze it and then change the shape. But we're really talking about the natural state of things, of molecules, of materials, right? So you can shape certain things, such as metals. For example, if you heat them up, they become liquid, then you can shape them. You actually pour them into shapes, and that's the way they stay then, once they cool down. And because there is a natural state down on Earth, where we are, for certain metals, this is why we use them, for example, for certain constructions, such as a cup, or other constructions for the car, houses, bridges, whatever you can think of. And they stay that way as long as you don't put too much heat. For example, if you burn a fire next to a certain metal bridge and the fire is hot enough, then the bridge will fall in. Okay, but the heat would have to be very high. It's just to show that there are certain physical laws and they work throughout the universe, not just on Earth. And what they want you to believe is that in outer space everything is different, right? Everything is out, not like it is down here, right? But it's a lie in itself. The only reason they tell you this, or they make you believe this, they don't actually tell you this, but through those theories and through movies and everything, you get programmed to believe that in outer space everything is different than on Earth. But the physics don't change. These are physical laws. They are universal, okay? These are God's laws. This is truth. And this is why no one has ever been on the moon, ever walked on the moon, ever touched the moon. No man has ever done that.